It's just for the family. Leave the gift and go. What? My husband and I were stunned, unable to comprehend the words of our son's wife, Susan. Her gaze turned sharp, like a predator hunting its prey. I only invited you because I thought I'd get a gift for Daniel. I don't need in-laws who can give only this. Just go home quickly. What did you say? It's just that, being Henry's parents, I thought you'd be more generous. I never expected you to be so stingy. Why can't you give more? It seems Susan was not satisfied with the gift we gave. When she invited us, she must have meant an amount of the gift. It had been like this since before the birth. She made us buy baby stuff and do her chores, but in her eyes, we were just ATMs. Such a selfish person. In Susan's words, family did not include us. The baby's first feast? It doesn't matter. I only prepared it because Henry told me to. It seems she didn't invite us over to celebrate Daniel's feast together. So that's what you've been thinking all along. I trembled with anger and sadness towards Susan. I even thought about leaving the house right then. At that moment, my husband Sam hugged my shoulders. That's right. This will be the last time. What? Then, the sound of the front door opening was heard. I am Nancy. A 55-year-old housewife living in New York, working part-time while living with my husband Sam. We have a son and a daughter, both of whom have grown up and moved out. Our daughter Camila moved to California with her job and now lives there with her husband. They are busy with work and live far from our home, so we don't see them often. Our son Henry got a job at a major company after graduating from college. Since getting married, he has been living in an apartment about a 20-minute walk from our house. His wife Susan has luscious skin, long chestnut curly hair, and always looks well put together, appearing younger than her actual age. She has thick eyelashes from a beauty salon and wears flashy nails. They live nearby, so we occasionally have meals together. Henry is busy with work, so we don't meet often. Susan seemed tense at first and didn't talk much with us after getting married. But after finding out she was pregnant, she started relying on us more. Congratulations on the pregnancy. Thank you. But I'm worried if I can handle it. It's your first pregnancy, so it's natural to be anxious. I can't move in because of my part-time job, but I'll support you as much as I can. I had the same fears when I was pregnant with Henry. Susan must be feeling the same way. I heard she's not very physically strong. I'll try to adjust my work as much as I can, but it's tough. Henry's workplace is supportive of parenting, but he often can't leave on time due to the workload. He's always been kind and responsible, probably doing extra work for his juniors too. Susan and Henry met through a friend and work at different places. They don't interfere much in each other's affairs. I understand that every family is different, so I don't question it. After that, Susan started asking me for favors more often. The morning sickness hasn't subsided yet. I can hardly do household chores. Can you help me? Susan took a leave from work due to her condition and started resting at home. Meanwhile, I was busy with my peak season at work and household chores. But I thought it would help Susan, so I started doing housework for both our house and Henry's. On my days off, I would head to their place around 11 a.m. Of course, I did the grocery shopping, and while I was cleaning and doing laundry, Susan mostly stayed in her room. I didn't want to disturb her, thinking she might not be feeling well. I prepared meals for Henry and left Susan's portion outside her door. She would leave the empty dishes outside after eating, so I'd pick them up and wash them. By 6 p.m., I'd return to my own home to cook dinner for me and Sam. This routine continued until Susan's morning sickness seemed to ease. Being cooped up in the house is driving me nuts. I need some fresh air. Hey! Susan would say and leave the housework to me while she went out to clear her mind. She'd often return home late, sometimes after 9 p.m. It was tough since I was also juggling my part-time job. I wanted this to end as soon as possible. But that wasn't all. We need this baby wrap and that bottle. I'm running low on savings. Could you buy them as a pre-birth celebration gift, she'd ask, and I ended up buying more and more baby items. We were eager for a grandchild. Children are blessings, and they may not come easily. It took a few years for Henry and Susan to conceive, so we tried not to pressure them. But maybe we were too meddlesome. We had some savings for our grandchild. But Susan's demands drained it. And my part-time income was dwindling too. Henry's messages were all businesslike, showing he was busy. I had a nagging feeling about Susan, but couldn't confront her directly. Months passed, and Susan gave birth to a boy named Daniel. When Henry told us, Sam and I rushed to the hospital. "You did great giving birth. Now rest up." "Thank you. Thanks for having him. We'll get through this together." After a week in the hospital, Susan and Daniel were discharged. We limited our visits to avoid burdening her. Seeing her just once right after the birth. Henry occasionally sent pictures of Daniel, which comforted us. Wanting to see them, we asked Susan if we could visit after some time. "I'm still not well, so please hold off. But we're short on cash. Can you help?" Our hopes were dashed. It's a sensitive time, so let it be, we thought, and reluctantly backed off. We didn't want to pressure them, so we waited a week, 2 weeks, before asking again. But we always got the same answer. "Raising a child really costs, doesn't it? The money you gave before isn't enough." "We've already given quite a bit." We couldn't see Daniel and kept paying Susan. The amount she asked for kept increasing. I decided to talk to Sam about it. Maybe she's just overwhelmed with her first child. Raising our first child, Henry, we had no spare time either. I had help from my family and Sam's, who were nearby. Susan's family lived far, in another state. In fact, she rarely visited them even before marrying. I'd never heard her talk about friends. Maybe the stress of new motherhood and not having Henry's help was getting to her. Perhaps us being close was more of a burden. We decided to watch from a distance, ready to help if she asked for anything other than money. Especially since Susan is part of the family by marriage. I feel bad for making her worry about unnecessary things. But I couldn't understand why Susan kept asking for cash. Henry wasn't the type to withhold money. He wasn't wealthy, but he earned more than most and wasn't a spendthrift. We had bought most essentials before Daniel was born. Henry's income should have been enough for a comfortable life without lavish spending. The need for more money didn't make sense to me. "What's Susan thinking?" Sam always looked troubled when we talked about her, suggesting we just watch for now. I was losing touch with Susan's true feelings. Before her pregnancy, we were distant, but she became more dependent afterward. However, things changed again after Daniel's birth. It seems like we've gone back to the time before pregnancy. I wonder how Susan is thinking and what kind of life she's leading. I'm sure if something really happens, they'll contact us. With that thought, we refrained from reaching out, but then we received a call from Henry and Susan. "It's been a while. Work has been so busy, I haven't had time to visit home. I feel bad about it. I'm thinking of bringing Daniel back home soon." "That's nice. Your dad will be happy." "Actually, we've decided to have Daniel's first feast at home. Please come, Nancy. It's been a while since you've seen Daniel's face, right?" "We'd love to come. When is it?" "Next Sunday. Are you free?" "I'm free. Let's go." "Your dad also seems to be available. We'll both come. Let's celebrate grandly." Sam and I were excited to see our grandson, Daniel, whom we hadn't seen in a while. "We should bring some gifts for the day." "Let's do that." Then came the day. We prepared a small gift and headed to Henry's house. We were greeted by Susan and Daniel. "Hello. Thanks for coming." "Where's Henry?" "There was some trouble at work, so he had to leave. He should be back soon." "It's tough being called into work on a day off." "Susan, isn't it hard for you alone?" "Thank you for your concern, but I'm managing fine. Here's a gift. Hope you like it." Oh, thank you. Susan took the gift and went to another room, probably to put away the gift. We spent time with Daniel, who was in his crib. Sam, especially, had been looking forward to seeing his grandson. Seeing my usually stoic husband holding Daniel with a smile was a moment of bliss. Then I noticed the corners of the room. The baby bed and blankets I bought were scattered around, hastily tidied away. The house didn't seem well cleaned. Except for what I bought, there wasn't much else. As I held Daniel, Susan started laying out the feast on the table. But it seemed a bit too mature for Daniel. "You've made such a grand feast. Good job." I noticed only 2 sets of dishes on the table. "I didn't realize. Let me help set up." "Where are the dishes?" "It's just for the family. Leave the gift and go." "What?" We were stunned, unable to comprehend Susan's words. "Why do you think I invited you? I didn't want to see your faces. It's a hassle." Susan's gaze turned sharp, like a predator. "I called you because I thought I could get a gift for Daniel. I don't need in-laws who only give such small things. Please leave." "How dare you!" "I married Henry thinking you were wealthy. I never thought you'd be so stingy. Why don't you give more?" Susan had moved to check the gift. It seemed she wasn't satisfied with what we gave. When she invited us, saying let's celebrate grandly, she was referring to the amount of money. Such selfishness. We weren't included in her idea of family. "The first feast itself doesn't matter. I prepared it reluctantly because Henry told me to. It wasn't about wanting to celebrate with us. Not only that, but the lavish spread wasn't even her doing. Everything was either store-bought or made by a housekeeper. I've come to learn that Susan never really did any housework herself. Looking back, even during her pregnancy, Susan only ever treated us like a wallet or a substitute housekeeper. She probably saw us as nothing more than a convenient ATM. "So that was your thinking all along?" I trembled with anger and sadness towards Susan. The thought of leaving the house right then crossed my mind. At that moment, my husband Sam embraced my shoulders. "This is the last time, after all." "What?" Just then, the sound of the front door opening could be heard. It must be the 2 of them arriving. "Long time no see, Susan," said our daughter Camila, who entered with Henry. Susan seemed surprised by Camila's sudden appearance. "Congratulations on your childbirth, Susan. I really wanted to celebrate together, so I convinced my brother to let me join. Oh, here's a gift for you." Camila smiled innocently. Her childlike grin overwhelmed even Susan. Camila has always been bold and outspoken. Despite being flustered, Susan accepted the gift from Camila. "Please use this for Daniel's sake, not for a nightclub or something." "What do you mean?" Susan's face turned pale. Camila showed her smartphone screen, opening a certain social media account. It was a photo of Susan at a nightclub. "This is Susan's social media account. Everything is clear from this." We borrowed Camila's phone and scrolled through social media. The account, undoubtedly Susan's, was filled with photos, including her being embraced by men and lying on the floor, seemingly drunk. "Were you keeping up appearances just to be liked by men?" "No, that's not." Susan, usually unflappable even when asking for money, began to show signs of panic. "It's great to care about your appearance. But from an outsider's view, it's hard to believe you're raising a less than 1-year-old child. Did you really take care of Daniel? From diaper changes to breastfeeding, did you do it all?" Checking the dates, it was clear Susan had been at the nightclub, even when she had left housework to me during her pregnancy. Her trips outside, supposedly for relaxation, were actually to meet men. Susan, speaking rapidly, kept denying. "This must be some mistake. Maybe someone who looks like me? Don't get it wrong, Camila. I was pregnant, so there's no way I was in places where alcohol is served, right?" Photos on the SNS with her full name, distinctive chestnut hair, and nails. The same ones she had on now. Photos of her leaning on men with a glass in hand. Despite undeniable evidence, Susan kept shaking her head in denial. You wrote about your mom, your brother, and Daniel. After all this, claiming it's someone else won't work. That's... Apparently, Susan had been taking money from us during her pregnancy and spent the saved living expenses on men. After childbirth, she left Daniel with a babysitter to go to nightclubs. Various posts on social media mocked us and revealed her struggles to pay for men. Henry stood there in shock, unable to accept reality. No wonder, considering the situation. In fact, I had known about this for a few days. It came up when I was on the phone with Camila, who lives far away. I'm happy to hear your voice. You should come home and relax sometime. My work's been hectic too. My husband just got promoted, so we're a bit busy. My brother lives nearby, but maybe I should be closer. Camila? Is something wrong? Camila's voice, usually bright and clear, sounded a bit dim. Something was bothering her, I could tell. Yeah. It's not about me. It's okay. If you don't want to talk about it, I won't force you. But I'm here for any advice. Actually, Camila hesitantly began talking about social media. I'm not familiar with social media, so I hadn't seen the actual screen. But hearing about it was enough to get the gist. Apparently, the information had reached Camila as well, after I had discussed it with Sam. Camila felt something was off and looked it up online. With the account registered under Susan's full name, the information quickly caught Camila's eye. The shocking content made her hesitate to tell us. Sam is not very talkative. But whenever Susan's topic came up, he seemed troubled. Probably imagining various possibilities after hearing my side. When I asked Sam there, he admitted he had been looking into it too. Since I'm not familiar with nightclubs, I had to ask Camila, who's in her 20s, about it. I don't think you know about this. Henry isn't much into the internet. If he knew, his character would never allow it. But how do we tell him about this? If Henry had known, he surely would have divorced Susan. We pondered whether to tell Henry about this reality. Maybe Susan would stop giving money to men for Daniel's sake. Perhaps she was only spending within her income. We even held on to that faint hope. But it was more like an escape from reality. Reality isn't that sweet. We decided to consider the worst possibilities. The conclusion was that it would be more painful for Henry to find out later. Without telling him directly, we couldn't predict Susan's actions. So, we waited for a time when we could all meet directly. The invitation came a week after this discussion. I immediately reported to Camila, who managed to adjust her work schedule to come. Henry was asked by Camila to keep her visit a secret from Susan. Camila was checking if Henry knew about this. If you're aware and accepting of this, we won't interfere. What do you think after hearing this? She's been deceiving me, Henry said, trembling with anger after checking the social media. Gradually, he began to speak more. It's not me, Henry. Someone must be impersonating me. It's not true. Believe me. Susan explained in panic. Tears began to form in her eyes. She stuttered but kept denying vehemently. However, Henry was not listening. What are you saying? That's clearly you, Susan. He hates dishonesty more than anything. He said he couldn't forgive her use of Daniel to gain an advantage. I don't remember marrying someone who uses others for their own benefit. Please leave. Henry was relentless in his condemnation. Wait, Henry, listen to me. Susan cried out. Henry remained cold and unyielding. If Susan won't leave, then I will. I'll take Daniel with me. Can we stay at your place for a while? Let's go home together. Daniel too. Thanks for everything. We're leaving now. Susan kept screaming at Henry. Despite her attempts to hold on to him, Henry shrugged her off. Crumpled on the floor, Susan was left crying. Henry didn't look back. We left the place as a family. On the way home, Henry kept apologizing and expressing his gratitude to us. He often came home late, unaware that Susan had been going out at night. On his rare days off, they did go out as a family of 3. There was love for Daniel. But love doesn't excuse everything. It was fortunate that they had a babysitter that day. Otherwise, Daniel might have been left alone as he grew older. The thought of babysitting money going to the nightclub was chilling. I can't forgive this. There's no excuse. If she doesn't agree to divorce, I'll take it to mediation. I'll claim alimony, considering what she's taken from us. I'll contribute to my parents' home too. Later, Camila revealed that the envelope she gave Susan had only blank paper. Not money. It showed Susan's obsession with money to the end. Henry and Susan eventually divorced. Susan resisted until the end, leading to a mediation. She was deemed the at-fault party. With her failure to properly care for Daniel acknowledged, Henry gained custody. Susan was ordered to pay alimony and child support. Years after the divorce, these payments are still ongoing. Given Susan's lifestyle, it's clear her finances are strained due to the alimony, as Henry says. Yet, she hasn't stopped visiting nightclubs. Henry and Daniel returned to live with us, and Camila moved nearby. The incident made her realize it's safer to be close to home. Next year, there will be another child here, so play together, okay? Okay. On the balcony, Daniel and Camila play together happily. Watching them with Sam is my greatest joy now. I want to keep looking at this scenery forever. I look forward to next spring. Imagining the warmth of the sun on my grandchildren, including Camila's unborn child.